Good afternoon or morning for anyone who is here joining us on our virtual or first of our Meet Asilia virtual trade show seminars. Today I am going to talk about our Asilia guiding, and with me I have myself and Hamza, who is our Tanzania head guide, Northern Tanzania head guide.
Hello everyone.
Hamza, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
All right, hello everyone again. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm happy to join the big meeting like this. I'm so proud of it. So my name is Hamza, and yeah, I joined Asilia in 2012, which is almost 9 years. It's a long time, I'll say. So yeah, I was fresh from the college, and Asilia was looking for someone who knows Rubondo Island, and I used that as an opportunity. But after the training was something different. They sent me to a different vegetation, like different area, Serengeti, and then that's where I started, and all the way here. So at the moment, I am the Asilia Northern head guide, which is leading all the guiding team in Tanzania. Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just want to do some little bit of housekeeping before we continue. So with regards to that, just to let you know that obviously this is being recorded, and we will be sending out copies of the recording to everyone who has attended or signed up to the meeting. And also just to let you know, welcoming questions, and we will do a Q&A towards the end of the presentation. So you will all get an opportunity to ask questions. We are moderating the questions, so if your question doesn't appear, don't worry. We will try and answer them. If we can't answer all of them at the end, we will go through them and send follow-up emails to some of those questions later on. So let's get started. The really exciting thing about us at Asilia is that we fully train our guides from right to the beginning of their career and progression all the way through. It's one thing that I think we can all agree on is that guides are the absolute rock stars of a safari. Without good guiding, they can make or break any situation. So we at Asilia are really proud to say that we fully train our guides. We bring on guides from a training course right at the beginning of their career, and we have the first guide training and qualifications sort of in Tanzania. Now our training is based on the FAGASA, which is the South Africa model. And we train all of our resident guides. We also train our driver guides, and our freelance guides also have to partake in guiding school. And we also train walking guides in Tanzania. So overall, we have 69 guides in Tanzania, and we have 12 guides in Kenya. So just to start our training process, the first things first is getting all of our guides. So every year we invite over 300 people, hopefuls, to come to a 3-day selection process. That happens in Arusha, and during that selection process, Hamza, as well as the rest of the team, look at different guides, look at the different people coming through, and then they work with them, and we take it down to about 15 to 20 potential hopeful guides who will start our month-long foundation course in Oliver's Camp. This is held every February. At the end of that course, we aim to have between 10 and 12 trainee guides to go into resident camps and start their year-long training. Hamza, do you want to just tell us a little bit about kind of what's involved in trying to finding guides, and what's the things that you look for when you're looking to have guides?
Yeah, we always look into 2 to 3 things when we do interview. So at that time we will have a lot of people, and then we can't take all of them. So it's all about look. So two main and English speaking. So and personality, how people can, how humble they are being a guide or being in a tourism industry. So through all the questions, that's how we can filter until we end up with a number of 15 to 20 people who will stick with them up to 1 month training. So every end of the week, we'll be doing an exam to filter, to keep on filtering candidates until we remain with the number of.
Oh, Hamza's. Oh.
And then head.
Just to let everyone know, Hamza actually is in the field in Olakira, so there is a little bit of issues with that. I think what Hamza was trying to say is that there's a few things that they look at. So English is obviously one of the things, as well as driving skills. Hamza's told me before that you know, they have, while people have licenses, their driving skills may not necessarily be able to drive in the bush. And then also personality. And what does that 1 month foundation course, Hamza, look like? What do they do on a day-to-day basis?
So what we looked at is it's all about behavior, I mean attitude of someone, how they mingle each other. So it's all about, we do classes and then we do game drives. So first class, and then we see how they apply in the field what they have been taught in the class. So we can do, within a week we can cover up to 2 to 3 topics, and then which they'll sit on the end of the week, they'll sit on the exam for that, and then through everything we'll be filtering people like ongoing, like every week, every end of the week. That's how we'll be doing. But we look into a lot of things: attitude, how you play around with the rest of the team, how you cooperate, how you talk with the people. So during all month, we all look into all different details, different things from particular person until we reach the number of guides we want to have. So which is the big day, which is the end of the month. There'll be quite a big exam. It's a written exam, and there is all about the practical exam. Yeah.
Brilliant. It sounds like it's quite an interesting month, getting to know the guides as well. I guess also part of it is about you getting to know the guides as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Brilliant. So some of the courses that our guides do, so this is actually a list of all of the courses that our guides have to do in that 1 month training program. So as Hamza said, there is a lot of stuff that they have to find out about, and they have to learn. And it's extremely intensive during that time. So once they have passed, hopefully, fingers crossed, the big exam at the end of the month, they then go on to spend a year in the bush. So what happens is we give our guides resident camps, and then they go on to spend a year in that resident camp. In between that, I just wanted to introduce you to one of our guides. So Sweetie is one of our guides who was a head waiter and bartender at Sayari, and had shown some interest in becoming a guide. He completed his foundation course in February 2020. However, due to COVID, he's not been able to go on to that next part, which is that 1 year kind of resident training within a camp. So hopefully the hope is that this season coming in June, fingers crossed, that Sweetie will be able to continue on his progression to become a junior guide. And he also took part in our guide training program that happened in Cantamara earlier this year, which we'll tell you all a little bit more about later. So obviously our guides then go into spending a year in a resident camp with a mentor. That whole year, there's so much that they have to learn and do, and it's all about absorbing and understanding what's happening in that first year. The first things first is that when guides turn up into camp, they actually don't go out and become guides. They don't go out with their mentor guide. They actually spend their first month in camp working in the different departments within the camp. So housekeeping, kitchen, waiting staff, and in the workshop. This is really important because being in a camp is not just about one particular job. You need to understand the whole, the whole thing rather than just your individual place within that. And it helps our guides as well as other staff understand what is involved within running a camp, within making the guest experience, the best it can be. So once they've spent that month in those different departments, a week in each department, they then go out on game drives with their mentor. They're not allowed to take game drives. They spend time with their mentor. They watch him, they work with him, they prepare all the vehicles, and it's really about absorbing as much information as possible. So Hamza, kind of what during that year, what are these guys doing? What's important for you to look at during that year for them, and what do they do?
So during that year, it's all about preparation of the activities. So like prepare the vehicles, make sure everything is in place. Start from, for example, if it's on an early game drive, they will have to have hot box in there, fully equipped. And then by that time, the mentor will have to check again if the guy did it well or not. So yeah, it's an long year for them to learn and then observe a lot of things. Apart from that, sometimes they have a chance to talk about something. So mentor gave them a chance to talk about, for example, a lion, and then if there is less information, the mentor will jump in and add more about it. So through that, that's how they do during the all season. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're given opportunities to guide, but it's about kind of learning the little bit and speaking about what's happening, and then if the mentor's there, if they need to backup, if they need to get more information out to the guests. Oh, Hamza's just he's back.
Yeah, I'm here. So it's all about it's all about all observation. So they need just sit and look what the mentor does. So imagine you're just there until you get a question from Mgeni, and then you have to answer, and then the mentor has to jump on it and then continue with the conversation. So it's not all about just sitting there and then playing to say, what time are we going back to camp? So they have to learn all of these things around what's going on. So yeah. So through that year, there will be a lot for them to observe and learn. And then at the end, which is, we say it's a new season, they'll start for the final assessment and written exam for them to become junior guides. So that at that time, they'll be by themselves, no any more mentorship continued. But there will be more of learning continuing, which is we do all, as Asilia, we give the trainings every off season. It's an ongoing procedure, I'll say.
Yeah. So as Hamza said, at the end of the year, obviously our guides are assessed continually throughout the year, both by their mentor guide and also by Hamza as head guide. He also does a lot of the assessing and goes to different camps. But also at the end of that year, our guides then have both practical and written exams, and they also have to take part in the 2-week FAST foundation course, and that part of that FAST foundation course is that they then teach or then part of the new guides coming in. They are involved in that as well. So there's a lot of involved in becoming a guide, but also guides are not just about, it's not also about absorbing the information. It's also about being able to give that information out, and whether that is to the guests or mentoring young guides as they're coming through as well. That's really important. So once they have become junior guides, once they hopefully pass those exams at the end of their first year, they will then become junior guides. Our guiding program is split over 4 levels, well, 5 levels, including trainee guides, and all the way up from trainee up to master guide. Now, each of our guiding levels is split into subcategories, just to help give our guides kind of clear, attainable goals throughout their career progression. It's not quick to become a guide. To go from a trainee guide to a senior guide takes roughly about 5 years, and that's a minimum amount of time that it can take. So if you need to redo courses, or if Hamza feels that you're not quite ready to move up, then it may take you a little bit longer to do that. And our master guides to become a master guide, you have to have your walking guide qualifications as well. Hamza, how do our guides progress? How do they go from sort of junior to field guide? Is there any particular things that you're looking for to be able to progress?
Yes, Fiona, there is 3 or 4 things which we look in, right, for someone to move from one level to another level. So it's all about feedbacks from the guest, feedbacks from a manager, feedbacks from myself, the assessment which I'll be doing every time I visit the camp. So I have to go out with every guide in camp, but I have to make sure that I spend 1 day with each guide all over all the camps. So through all these 3 things, from the field wise, that's how we value someone. This guy is ready to move to the next level or not. And then after that, so we set a particular, for example, Hamza is not good in birds, and then we put him in a bird classes during the training season. So if he passed, and then we average feedbacks from the guests, feedback from manager, feedback from all the assessment they have been doing. So that's how we move a guide from one level to another level. So there's a lot of things for them to work on until they reach the different level or the senior levels. Yeah.
Perfect. And obviously we have management feedback, and also the other feedback I know that we take into consideration is feedback from our guests as well. I think that's really important. And I think it's also really important why we encourage our guests to give really, in-depth feedback with regards to our guides, and all of our staff really, but our guides, because it really reflects in their progression of their career, and also I guess it helps you as well, see where they need help and assistance, and need to get some more knowledge as they progress through their career.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I know you're in Olakira at the moment, so we're talking about assessing guides, and you've just been in the Highlands, and that's what you're doing at the moment, is that correct? You're out with guides, with them on, you're out with them on game drives with guests?
Yes, Fiona, yes, that's what I'm doing now. So I was at the islands, and then I made sure that I went out with every guide, so you can see the real style. Like when you assess them without, again, your guests, they won't perform. They won't show that the real thing. So by assessing them with guests, that's what you see. You see a real person, what he's doing. Yeah. So I've done Highlands, now I'm at Olakira. I'll be doing the same thing. So by doing this is how we able to put people in a different subjects. Yeah, and then to make sure we level them up through their performance.
Brilliant. So as Hamza mentioned there, part of the thing that we do at Asilia is our continued learning. So it's really important for our guides to, guiding is not just something, once you've learned it, you know everything. It is it's a progression, and over time you learn more and more stuff. And as Hamza says, we assess our guides, and then when we discover areas that maybe they are not confident in or don't have enough ground knowledge in, we then offer them part of a 2-week on a 2-week course. So every year we have continued learning courses, both in March and April. So March is dedicated to our walking courses, and then in April we run a variety of courses covering lots of different topics. The courses are normally sort of 10 days to 2 weeks long, and as Hamza said, if Hamza was not performing well and didn't know his birds, then he would be put into he'd be recommended to go on to the bird and ecology course. So this is something that we continue every year, and for every guide level as well. It's not just for the junior guides or the field guides. We do this for our senior guides as well as our master guides as well. They are all kind of involved in that continual learning process. Which, as the new things coming out, it's always really important for our guides to continue that progress. So I'm going to introduce you to another one of our guides. So Lenga was or has been a guide at Oliver's for the past 5 years. He had wanted to be a guide since he was young. And he came to Asilia, and over the last 5 years has shown himself and has actually decided that he wants to become a walking guide. So is in the process of becoming a walking guide, and hopefully will complete the training very soon. It is quite a long process to become a walking guide. So while most of our guide training is quite a long process, walking guide in themselves takes a lot of time. So as I've just mentioned, becoming a walking guide takes a lot. It's a huge amount involved in becoming a walking guide. Asilia is one of the only companies in Tanzania who do train Tanzanians as walking guides, and our course is extremely comprehensive. So guides obviously have to be of a particular level to be able to do this. We don't allow our junior guides to become walking guides. They then need to come on a 1-month course, which includes a safe rifle handling competency course. You do need to be able to use a rifle to be able to be a walking guide. And then they need to go on and do 100 hours of walking experience as a backup guide, being mentored by a lead guide. So your backup guide is the guide that is at the rear of the walking safari, and is there just to back up the head walking guide. The assessment continues, so they then have to have an advanced rifle handling certificate. And then they have to have formal assessments with dangerous game encounters, and then 20 hours leading a walk as well. Obviously, Hamza, there's a lot involved in becoming walking guides, and I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about your experience to become a walking guide. I know you've got a story about your actual final assessment walk.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, yeah. When you retain, you get the certificate of advanced rifle handling. You have to do the formal assessment will continue, and then you'll have to do 20 hours as a leading guide. So it will be vice versa. So you'll be mentor the senior guide of yours who was mentored you before. So it's vice versa now. He will become the backup walking guide for you. So during that 20 hours, you have to do it with the guests. So that's very interesting. You have to do it. You have to see, you have to experience, you have to have a real experience, not just only you and the mentor and the ranger just go out and just walk to cover 20 hours. So no, so this is the day, like every day you have to, like there is walks, you have to lead the walks with the mentor. And then that's how you assessed until you become a leading walking guide proper. So I remember during my assessment, we were driving and then I had the guy called Pietro. That's one of our trainer. And he's a man of pressure. So we reached in one of the elephant herd, and then he say, "Okay, stop the vehicle, Hamza. Let's approach these elephants." And I say, "All right." So get ready, brief everybody, and then we start to walk. Luckily, we managed to approach the elephant very close, and then we enjoyed the view. But Pietro tapped on my shoulder and said, "Hamza, there's a herd behind us coming in." And I looked at him and say, "That's fine." So at that time, I didn't even realize that, Hamza, you're not able to estimate the movement of the elephants. So he kept telling me, "Hamza, act fast." So, he's with his pressure and thinking of where do I need to go? There's an elephant in front of me. There's an elephant behind me. So it's behind us. And I say, "Oh my God." So all these Italian hens, go, go, go. So had to walk towards the herd. Towards the herd we were approaching and cut from behind. This poor thing, I was like, no, they can't even smell us. But by the time they reached where we passed, they smell us. And then they were freaked, all of them. And then they compacted, walking, tried to find where is these humans? And then what are they doing in this area? So luckily I managed to walk behind the herd we were approaching and then do a big circle. So like we lost the elephants, just trumpeting all over in the bush. So that was my real experience for the first time, like having a rifle with me. So it was so interesting. And that's from there I have to admit, Hamza, never ever estimate how elephants can walk. How fast you can go. Yeah, so it's all about fun.
Yeah, I can imagine that you will never underestimate an elephant again.
No.
But at least you had that experience with Petro there as well, who could teach you and knew what was going to happen, which is it's always good having those guides. And now you've had that experience, so you can then pass that knowledge on to walking guides as well in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so obviously, as I said, it takes a long time to be a walking guide, and it is something that a lot of our guides actually want to do. So I'm just going to play a little video of one of our guides explaining his why he wanted to become a walking guide.
I knew that I wanted to be a walking guide. Room attendance or being a waiter is just my way to go where I wanted to be. And Asilia actually provide this walking safari opportunity. And now I'm working as a walking guide in Namibia.
Being a walking guide with Asilia, I considered myself as a lucky person to work with this great company. They have invested a lot in my career as a walking guide. All the knowledge that I have acquired is because of this company. I need to offer my guests even much more as a thank back to my company, Asilia.
I knew that I wanted to be a walking guide.
Sorry about that. So as I said, walking guides, it's something that we are really proud of, and that we can give opportunities to our guides to become walking guides. So another one of our guides that we have at the moment is Tony. Now, Tony used to be a waiter. One thing that we're really proud at Asilia is that a lot of our guides come from other other areas of the company. So we have a lot of room attendants, waiters, and bartenders who go on to become walking guides. They see things that, they see the guides going out and they start to be involved in the nature around them and learn while they're in camp from those guides, and then want to fulfill a career as a guide. And it's something that, as I said, we're really proud of being able to offer that opportunity to our guides, to our staff. So Tony is another member of our staff who was a waiter and who had showed some enthusiasm about birds within the region that he was based at, and from there went on to do bird watching boat trips, and then onto the trainee guide program. And it's really important for us that we can offer these opportunities for our staff. The other thing that we're really proud of at Asilia is our female guides. Female guides within the safari industry in East Africa as a whole are very rare, and we are really happy and proud that we have 2 female senior guides and 3 trainee female guides. Females within the industry, especially becoming guides, they have a lot of adversity to overcome, and it's really important for us to be able to support and offer these women opportunities to fulfill their dreams and their goals. I'm going to play a video.
Well, I decided to become a guide because my first time when I was in primary level, we went to the different national parks, Serengeti, Ngorongoro, and Manyara. And then I saw a lead driver guide. I was really interested, but then I was young. But every time I was telling my friends and my parents that when I finish my secondary education, then I want to be a guide. So everybody was laughing at me because it's not normal to see a girl driving. My dad wants me to go for the business because he's in marketing. But I was not really happy with that. I went for the arts. So I finished my ordinary level, and then I tell him that I want to go for the wildlife colleges. So it was a very big conversation between I and my parents because nobody was with me. I was really wanted to go to the College of African Wildlife Management, Mweka, but he was not happy with that. He told me, like, it's very expensive and I'm not sure if you will be a guide. But he was waiting for me to say I decided to quit. So he waited for so long, but I didn't quit. At the end of the time, I get a job. Every time I was telling him the good story. I was never telling him the sad story, like how tough is it. So he was happy at the end of the time, and all the family were just happy.
So that was one of our guides, our female guides. So our female guides, as I said, are really important, and as I said, it is important for us to encourage more women to become safari guides in the future. One of the things that we offer at Asilia as an additional thing is something called safari fundies. Now, our safari fundies are an addition to our in-camp guides, and these are guides that we can offer that will spend their whole time with you, so they can go from all the camps. They will lead your whole safari, and these are amazing, some of our top guides who will be able to do this. We do have our Safari Fundi PDF that is on our agent space on the info zone. So if you want more information, then please do have a look there. There is quite a few different guides from different regions. So we have southern Tanzania, we have guides in northern Tanzania, and then we also have guides in Kenya, both Opechta and in the Masai Mara. And as I said, these guides can, you can book these guides to be with you throughout your whole trip and lead your whole trip. So for guests who are looking for something a little bit different and are looking for a guide to be with them the whole time, then this is a really interesting opportunity for guests. So just a little bit about a few of them. So we have Moinga, whose kind of specialist areas is walking safaris, birding and Maasai culture. The other thing to kind of note, obviously, with Moinga and Maasai culture is that most of our guides are really, other than also guiding and talking about the ecology and the wildlife, they are really interested in talking about who they are and their families and their backgrounds and their culture as well. So it's really important for them to be able to talk about that. And they will love to open up and tell you about, you know, their Maasai culture or Samburu culture from the different areas. So it is definitely more than just, you know, the wildlife. Obviously, we have Hamza, who is one of our safari fundies. And then and he's kind of, again, northern Tanzania and Arusha area. And then we have Salash, who is one of our Kenyan guides, and he is based in Kenya, and he is really big on photography, and obviously big cats, being in the Masai Mara is one of his passions and one of his main areas. So lastly, the last thing that I wanted to just tell you all about is that sort of at the beginning of last year, we received an IFU training grant. Now, part of this training grant was that to take Asilia staff who from different areas of the company, and to offer them sort of some basic training in an area that they wouldn't normally be involved in. So we had 10 sort of junior trainee guides, 5 from northern Tanzania, 2 from southern Tanzania and 3 from Kenya, all head to Incantamara in Kenya, in the Masai Mara, and they have just completed a 1-month program run by some Kenyan trainers at Eco Training, so Zarek and Andreas. Hamza has literally just come back from doing that. Ham was involved with that. And Hamza, do you want to tell us a bit about what they did, what was involved in that IFU training? I know a large part of it was digging vehicles out of mud, but also other sort of things that you were involved in that IFU training.
Oh yeah, it's it was all about I was assisting on according to Asilia system, because like Andreas Fox and Zarek, they have different training system, so we are trying to put in a same page, like kind of look similarly in similarities. So we're like changing ideas and how we can do this, how we can do that. So but everything was on their hands, and then I was like enjoying the training with them, because I did learn from them. So it's from different technique on training, on how they talk about things, you know. And more fun thing was all about trying to engage the trainee guides on using 4x4, which is we kind of spend like all day stacking in the mud and let these poor guys walking. And yeah, that was quite an experience, I would say. And then it's a very exposure for Tanzanian guides, the junior guides, so they can able to compare, because like the number of the junior guides we have, they are all based in Tanzanian side. So by being in Kenyan side, it's another exposure. They can talk about what's happening in Kenya compared to Tanzania. So the IFU training was, I would say, it was really good, which is give the big picture to all the trainees, even myself. Yeah, so yeah, it was quite interesting. I enjoyed it, I would say.
Yeah, that's good. And as you said, I think one of the things that we've discussed before is that the difference in styles between guiding in Kenya and in Tanzania and there are differences, and it's nice for Tanzanians to head to Kenya and see how Kenyans do it, and then hopefully for our Kenyans to come to Tanzania see how that does.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and it's really important for our guides to be able to cross land from each other as well. So I don't know, is there anything else, Hamza, that you would like to add about our guiding at Asilia?
Not much, as we have almost covered everything, I'll say. But the difference from our guide, Asilia guides, and another guides with our different companies, it's all about and professionals, I would say. So there's a big difference compared to other companies' guides. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah.
Perfect. Brilliant. So we, before we round up, we do have questions that have come in. So if anyone has any additional questions, then please do. You still have time to submit them. Hamza, so we have a few questions that have come in. So between the two of us, I hopefully will be able to answer those.
Right.
So the first question is from John, who has asked, do junior guides go to all Asilia camps as their first placement, or is there a specific camp that is always used as the launch platform for junior guides?
No, after finishing the trainee guide program, which is all season, and then they go to a final assessment. After that, we'll allocate them in different camps. So this is it's an annual rotation for all the guides every season, every new season. So for example, someone can start at Orakira, be moved to the different camp. So all this gives them a wide range of knowledge, a wide range of knowing how each camp operates within the different areas.
Yeah, and I think that's really important that our guides get moved around and are versatile within different areas of Tanzania. So the second question is, Hamza, actually this question is for you, Hamza, from James. And they are asking, where is your favorite place to guide and why?
Wow. There's a lot, I'll say. So far, Ruaha was my best place, I'll say, my favorite place to guide, and because it's in a remote area, you really work for it. You really look for things. You really apply the guiding knowledge and everything. Yeah, I'll say Ruaha, and even I'll put Selu in general. So yeah, those are my best areas in guiding. Yeah.
Very interesting. And not Rubondo.
Rubondo is in another place. That's why I say there's a lot of places. Every place it's got its own rhythm, I'll say. But yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So we have a question through from someone I have anonymous. Do guides have to pay for any of their courses or exams?
Not with Asilia. Provide everything for their guides. Yeah.
So yeah, all of our trainee guides, all of our guiding programs are all included as part of their training, and it's not something that we would charge our guides for.
No.
Okay, so we have another question. How many guides are at master level? So I don't know this. It would have to be Hamza would have to answer this question.
I think at the moment it's only Hamza, because majority of them they have already left the company, so we'll try to bring more up in order to reach this.
Okay, so then we have Jen Simpson. How many female guides does Asilia have? So we have 2 senior guides and 3 trainee guides, female guides. And we don't. What measures do we have to recruit more and train more? Really, it is just letting people, like, it's hard. We have in previous years put out adverts and stuff asking for female guides, and sort of specifically asking for female guides to come in. However, that's not really, most of our guides come through our camps. So we do have, obviously, we have Dunya, who is our all-female camp. So a lot of that comes from there. And also a lot of it comes from word of mouth. The fact that we do actively encourage female guides and we do actively train female guides means that we obviously get quite a few requests from females to become guides. And that's kind of the main avenues. Word of mouth is, I think, one of the biggest things within communities, and especially our female guides that we do have are our biggest advocates for further female guides coming into the training program. Paul has asked, how is the future generation of Asilia guides looking? Has recruitment been impacted by COVID-19? So myself and Hamza will both answer this. So as I mentioned in one of our guides earlier on, we did the foundation course in February last year. However, he's not been able to do his 1-year training, his in-camp training, and therefore that's being started, will be started at the beginning of the new season, which is June. And Hamza, am I correct in thinking we haven't done our training program this February either? The foundation course didn't run this February.
No, we haven't done anything from Asilia part.
Yeah.
Apart from the IFE training, yeah.
Yeah. So there has been an impact by COVID-19. So it does mean that in the future we will, you know, it means that we will probably be about a year behind. So anyone who did the foundation course last year will join in June and do their 1 year, and then we'll start recruiting next year for hopefully February next year. I think the plan is for us to be able to run our foundation course again next February.
Yeah.
Mercy Joy has asked from the Kenya office, has asked, Hamza, are all training programs for guides done in Arusha?
No, they're all done. We all done all the training in Tarangire National Park. So all the trainings are based there, and then after that, we all allocate guides in different camps, and then the training will continue in the different camps. Yeah, but our main area is Tarangire National Park, Oliver's camp. Yeah. Yeah.
And also we do have training programs running in Kenya, but they are slightly different. So that's done in the Masai Mara. So for our Tanzanian guides, that is done in Oliver's. And then for our Kenya guides, we have a program that runs in Kenya that runs in the Masai Mara with Rulof, who is head guide there. So other questions? So Ling, throughout the guest holiday, do the Asilia guides communicate with one another to share insights about the guests so that they can better prepare for their arrival and safari experience at the next camps? So yeah, we absolutely encourage our camps to, and part of the process is that if you're going from an Asilia camp to an Asilia camp, is that we gather all that information and then the camp manager passes that information on to the next camp for you that you're going to. So that are not only just guides, but everything. So from your waiting staff to your guides, all of that information will go on to the next camp so that they do know your gin and tonic preferences, to the fact that you've already seen 10 lions, and that you're really on the lookout for cheetah. So that information does get passed on between the camps while guests are on holiday or are on safari. Have I missed questions? No, I haven't. Oh, okay. I have one left from Steph. So for someone who hasn't been on a walking safari before, why would you recommend it? Hamza, I think you should answer this one. Why would you recommend a walking safari compared to a driving safari?
It's all about having a different experience. You know, there are things you see during the walking which you cannot see during the driving, I mean the game drives. So it's all about seeing, it's all about small things, plants, healing, smell, you know, touch, all these things you miss while you're doing game drives. So that's why I'll say recommending someone who never been in walking, it's all about telling it's a different experience. It's a different feeling, you know, putting your foot where elephants and a lion leave their footprint behind. It's a different thing compared being in a car and sitting driving around. Yeah, so it's an experience for people who haven't done it. So I'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I think, you know, being out on a walking safari it's so different. As you said, it's about the little things. It's about being close to nature and wildlife. And it's a very different perspective, you know, as you said, coming up to a herd of elephants on a riverbed when you're walking than if you're driving by and seeing them in a vehicle. There is a comfort in a vehicle, not just from being seated, but also from a safety perspective. If you're in a vehicle, there's kind of like you're like, I'm surrounded, I'm safe. And being out on a walking safari gives you that opportunity to just see something a little bit different and feel that closeness to nature and realize how small you really are compared to some of these animals. But also, as we've said, to be able to get closer to wildlife and wildlife as well. You can hear everyone in the office at the moment. So. Okay, so I have one more question, and I think this will probably be our last question before we wrap it up. So Teresa has asked, if someone wants to become a guide but hasn't been in touch with Asilia or guiding before, do they need any specific education before applying? Are there any minimum educational requirements? Hamza, do you want to take that one?
It's like, if you remember what I said, what we look into the new guides we have.
Oh, Hamza, no.
Yeah.
Start again, you cut up.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Like, remember I said during the interviews, we are looking to two main things, apart from what knowledge they have, because we know that we're going to train them into different things. You know, we'll give our own, we give them knowledge. So we teach them, we train them. So, yeah, that's how I'll say we don't look much into how level of guides he is at that moment for the new guides, except if we need to have a guy like we.
Oh,
that's the time we look how knowledgeable this guy is, and then after that the season, then we have to send him in our trainings, and then we can able to have this similarity on guiding standard or guiding style. Yeah.
So if we're taking a guide at a higher level than junior level, because sometimes we need to do that because we're missing. And is there any kind of educational, so do they need to have finished school? Do we expect them to have a minimum education standard to be able to become a guide?
Yeah, we're looking to mostly secondary school, and then some they come with who have been in colleges and universities, and then they still need that. But from what they will be
Oh,
giving them. So it's kind of different knowledge from what they have and what they will be receiving in our company. So we don't look into that much because from what we'll be giving them during the training season.
yeah. Perfect. Brilliant. Well, I think that's it. That was the last question. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for being part of our first seminar. Just to let you know that Asilia Past, Present and Future with Mercedes Bailey will be on this afternoon. And Jeroen and Gerard, two of our directors, will also be partaking in that. At the end of the week, at the end of our Meet Asilia trade show, we will also be sending out a quiz for you to all try and win some bed nights. So please partake in that and look out for an email with regards to how you can do that. And then just to let you know, as I said before, there will be a recording sent out as well at the end of the week once it has all been, once we've done all of our hot topics. So thank you from me, and I know Hamza would also like to say thank you and goodbye.